Today we're looking at vacuum wipers. We're going to see what we can learn. I've never owned a car with vacuum wipers before, but it's time to dig in because one is working, the driver's side is working, the passenger side is very slowly reacting to vacuum. So let's maybe just start with a quick update here. Down here below the carburetor on this car, in this area, don't know if you can see that or not, there's a vacuum line right here that threads in to the intake manifold. Then this rubber hose comes off there, it travels up and it goes in through my firewall right here, travels through the firewall, goes up this A-pillar up to the top where it's split. One line goes to this motor and one line goes to that motor. So when you're at idle, you make maximum vacuum. Throttle valve is closed, the pistons are trying to suck in air, so you get lots of vacuum. As you accelerate and you open the throttle valve, there's less vacuum through that line because all your air is now sucking through the intake of the carburetor. And it's not, there's no restriction, it's getting full flow as you accelerate and you open the throttle, so you don't get much vacuum in the line. So the wipers don't perform well if there's no vacuum. So if you've owned an old car with vacuum wipers, you get it, but if you've never owned one, you're climbing a hill, it's raining, you got your foot into the throttle, you're trying to climb that hill, you're not going to have any wiper action. They're not going to work because there's no vacuum. You have to let your foot off the gas. The wipers maybe make one swipe, then you put the throttle down and they'll stop and off you go again. So I'd like to get them both working. I want to meet code if I ever get pulled over and someone wants to inspect my car. This is probably the last thing that I can think of that I need to do to deal with the wipers. So I tried to lubricate this wiper motor up inside there. It's not really working. Unfortunately, you got to access the wiper motor through the headliner. So first thing I did is I took this blade off. Then I took this nut off. This is the ferrule here. There's a gasket under there, which is kind of needs to be replaced. I'll try and find one. I mean, I don't plan to ever drive this car in the rain, but you know how it goes. You're out on your cruising and the weather changes. That's the anchor for the wiper motor, so you'll notice it's loose now. Now you got to go inside. Fortunately for me, the headliner is original, and it's starting to come away here from the roof, so it's behind the visor. I'm not planning to change the headliner at this time, but it's time to access the wiper motor. You got to get it out. That's the pull knob. You pull that knob that activates the wiper motor. There's one seen there, still in place. So this wiper motor does move a little bit when I activate the switch, but it's not much. And I can hear air hissing, so it's leaking. So this happens to be a Trico model KSB 385 it looks like on there. There's another inside ferrule there that just fell off. I'll put that back on. So working here with one hand, it's kind of challenging, but I'll show you the wiper motor. Interesting nuts on there. Gonna have to use a pair of pliers to twist those off. Those are screws, sorry, not nuts. This is Trico, made in, there you go. Made in the USA. That's your valve, you open and close right there. That's where your vacuum line hooks up. There's another little wiper inside here that goes back and forth inside here that activates this shaft, which is where your wiper is mounted to. So I'm gonna take this apart and see what's going on. I hear a vacuum leak and we'll see what we get. Alright, so I see here several patents. These guys had this thing dialed. It's pretty cool. So this is the valve we pull when we're in the cab. I think you pull it out, your line hooks up right here. And the vacuum, I could hear this hissing when it was turned off. So that's a clear indicator to me that it's leaking. When this is sealed up properly, the engine vacuum here, it won't allow any air to come in because everything will be sealed. But when you can hear hissing, that's a clear indicator that it's leaking and needs work. So this here is a little cover that comes off. This is a little valve here. Inside of here, you'll see a big flapper that moves back and forth. It starts like this, and it comes around, it goes over to this side, and it goes back to the other side. And as it moves, this valve changes positions, and it directs air to one side of the flapper valve to pull it that way. Then when it gets over here, it directs it to the other side. So it's pretty cool. I'll take it apart here and show you. Like I said, I don't fully grasp this. This is the first time I've ever had one apart, but I think I got it sorted out here. The gasket here that seals everything up. Looks all original as far as I can tell. There you can see little, I think that's where the vacuum maybe travels through those passages through the valve here. So this is a big flapper wheel here sort of thing. It appears to be maybe a type of leather that's coming apart. You see it's breaking away here. And I'm guessing that's part of the problem. It's not sealing properly. At one time you could get rebuild kits for these. They're not easy to find today. I searched many sources. I can't seem to find a rebuild kit available. I assume it would include a new flapper valve here. You can see that this is a valve here as well. That would come up inside and touch and seal against that area, I think. But it's a mess. So, coming apart here. I'm sure it's supposed to be down flat. So this wiper valve goes back and forth, like I said, twists this shaft here, and that's your wiper moving. And this is not sealing well. It's very old. This is 82 years old, and it's just done. I think I'm going to send it away. There's a fellow online, if you look, I don't recall the name of his website, but he's in New York somewhere. Watch the valve move as I spin this. See, it just cleaned over the other side. That would make it suck back the other way. Let me see if I can get it to flip the other way now. There it goes. That changes the air direction. The vacuum. Anyways, I'm going to ship it off to New York, I think, and have this guy rebuild it. I can't seem to find a kit, as I mentioned. And I read good reviews online that he knows what he's doing. He claims to have done about 30,000 of these Trico motors in his career, so I think sounds like the right guy. He does not sell parts. He only sells a complete rebuild service, and he'll rebuild it with all new parts. So I'm going to send it off, and hopefully when it comes back we'll have a good wiper. I'm sure we will. Back together. I'll screw it together and ship it off. There you go. Neat. Alright, so someone's going to come along and make a comment and say that there's things you can do to fix the vacuum wipers to make them better. Maybe get some aftermarket bolt-on things happening. They offered a 6-volt electric vacuum pump that you could hook up. I've never seen one, but I've heard about it. It allows you to get constant vacuum all the time. So it doesn't matter where your throttle position is or what the vacuum pressure is of your intake manifold. It gives you constant vacuum. I'm not really interested in doing that. This car is not going to be driven over a mountain pass in the winter. I'm not going to be dealing with snow. I'm not even really going to go out in the rain unless I get caught in the rain. And this is going to do it. I'm going to put Rain X on the window glass, and that's going to really help with dispersing the raindrops on the windshield. I just want to have a working vintage vacuum wiper system. I'm fine with that. The other thing people do is they'll pull these out and put electric ones in. Again, I have no interest. You want to do that? Give her. I'm looking for the authentic 1938 experience driving a vintage car like it was 1938 sort of thing. And I also run biased tires for that same reason. Cokers. Good enough for me. You know, yeah, it wanders on the highway at 55 miles an hour, but I'm not on the highway very often, and I don't do 55 miles an hour very often. And your mileage may vary. You may do something else, but that's exactly how the car would have reacted in 1938. I'm good with that. So there you go. You got options. You might want to fix your old ones. You might want to update to modern ones. Whatever. Some folks have been asking how my Chrysler's doing. You haven't seen my Chrysler in many videos lately, and it's actually fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. I just got it sitting here on a Genius 6-volt 750 milliamp charger. I take the Chrysler out once in a while, not as much as I used to because I'm really into my 38. I don't know why, and this is a nice car too. I think it's kind of like when you get something new, a new shiny object, and it's really exciting and you're in the honeymoon stage for a long time. Well, I think I'm there with my 38. And the Chrysler, when I get in it and drive it, I'm reminded how plush this car really is. It is smooth and easy to drive, and I totally get the difference between a Chrysler, which was up on the hierarchy at the Mopar products. You got the Imperial, Chrysler, probably DeSoto, Dodge, and Plymouth is down here. And I get it because you can really tell, you can feel the difference. Anyways, the Windsor's doing fine. I think I'm gonna take it out this weekend. Actually, I just broke 1,000 miles on my Plymouth this year. I drove 1,000 miles, and this is the first year I've had it. So I'm pretty happy and excited to be able to do that. I've been trying hard to do that. So now that I'm there, it's time to take the old Chrysler out here again for a while, start putting some miles on her. Have a good one.